Serwaa, over my dead body will I allow you give birth to this child. Her chants grew stronger. She tied a knot on a red thread, muttering, on the day of delivery, let pain overcome her, let life be denied, she said. To her, Serwaa's loose tongue had handed her a weapon. Without that detail, her rituals would have no direction. But now, with the month marked clearly, she believed she could strike at the exact time Serwaa's life would be most vulnerable. Meanwhile, Serwaa slept peacefully beside Manuel, dreaming of the baby she longed to hold. She had no idea that her greatest mistake was not the pregnancy she carried openly, but the secret she had spoken too freely, the very date her child was expected to come into the world. One night she woke with a sharp cramp in her stomach, clutching her belly and gasping softly. At first, Serwaa thought it was just normal pregnancy symptoms. Manuel jumped from the bed in fear. Serwaa, what is it? Should I call someone? She shook her head, sweating, and whispered, it's nothing, my husband. Maybe the baby just moved suddenly. But Manuel couldn't shake the unease. The look on her face had not been that of a woman feeling a simple kick. It was pain, deep, biting pain. Over the next few weeks, the signs grew stronger. Serwaa often complained of weakness, dizziness, and sudden shortness of breath. Sometimes she would be chatting happily and then, out of nowhere, her mood would switch to sadness and tears. The neighborhood women said, pregnancy can be like that. Don't worry, it will pass. But Manuel was not convinced. He knew something was wrong. He began to notice other strange things. Every time Mansour visited, Serwaa's condition seemed to worsen afterwards. One evening, after Mansour left, Serwaa felt so faint she almost collapsed while preparing food. Manuel caught her just in time. He placed her gently on the bed, his heart racing. Was it just coincidence? That night, Manuel could not sleep. He watched his wife's face as she rested, her breathing uneven. Meanwhile, Mansour sat calmly in her room, grinding herbs and chanting over a small pot. She murmured, the time is near. The closer she gets, the weaker she shall become. She laughed to herself, believing Serwaa's fate was sealed, but Manuel's instincts were sharp. The more he observed, the more he realized this was not ordinary. He decided silently that he would not sit back and watch. He would protect his wife and unborn child, even if it meant confronting the very people who smiled in their faces. And so, while Serwaa's trust kept her blind, Manuel's suspicion grew stronger. He was beginning to understand that their real battle was not only against the challenges of pregnancy, but against unseen hands determined to destroy what they had waited 15 years for. Serwaa's belly was now heavy, her steps slower, but her heart was full of joy. After 15 long years, every kick of her unborn child felt like proof that God had not forgotten her. Yet, beneath that joy, shadows began to creep in. It started one evening when she bent to pick up a wrapper from the floor. A sharp, burning pain ran through her stomach, and she fell back on the bed, crying out. Manuel rushed to her side and insisted they go to the hospital. After tests and scans, the doctor shook his head gently. Your wife is fine. The baby is fine. There's no complication. Just ensure she eats well and rests. But Manuel wasn't at ease. He had seen the way Serwaa's body stiffened, as if something unseen had squeezed her. On their way home, he said softly, Serwaa, this is not ordinary. Sometimes, the enemy does not fight with knives but with invisible hands. Serwaa brushed it off with a weak smile, though deep down, she was unsettled. That same night, while Manuel dozed in a chair, Serwaa started awake to a strange sound at the window. It was faint but steady, like someone whispering. She sat up, straining her ears, and for a moment she was sure she heard her own name. Serwaa. The voice was low, almost like a hiss. Her heart raced, but when she shook Manuel awake and he stepped outside, there was no one. The night air was still. From that moment, fear began to cling to Serwaa. She prayed quietly while folding baby clothes, but the joy she once felt had started to mix with worry. She didn't tell Manuel everything, afraid of adding to his burden, but he could see the light in her eyes dimming little by little. Meanwhile, Mansour sat cross-legged in her room, a clay pot before her. She traced the date Serwaa had innocently mentioned on the floor with chalk, smiling as she poured strange powders into the pot. You gave me the key yourself, she whispered. Now I will use it. Serwaa hummed softly to calm her nerves, unaware that every hour brought her closer not just to her due date, but to the battle of her life. Manuel could no longer stay calm. The hospital had said nothing was wrong, yet his wife's strange pains and the whispers at night kept getting worse. He knew there had to be more to it. Early one morning, while Serwaa was still asleep, he dressed quickly, went to powerful church he had visited before. The pastor welcomed him into his office. Manuel didn't waste time. He poured out everything, the sudden pains, the voice Serwaa heard at night, and how the doctor found no explanation. He ended with a trembling voice, "Pastor, I don't want to lose my wife and child after waiting 15 years. Please, help us." The pastor closed his eyes for a moment, then spoke slowly. "Manuel, what your wife is facing is not medical. This is spiritual. Someone who knows too much about her pregnancy has set a trap. The very date she announced is now being used against her." Manuel's heart sank. He remembered how freely Serwaa had shared her joy with neighbors and relatives. He clenched his fist. "So this is what my warnings were about," he thought bitterly. The pastor placed a firm hand on his shoulder. "Do not despair. God has power to turn every plan of darkness into nothing. But you must be alert. As the day draws near, the attacks will increase. Pray over her, anoint her, and do not let her be alone. Tomorrow night, I will come to your house to pray." Manuel returned home carrying oil the pastor had given him. Serwaa was sitting on the bed. He sat beside her, took her hand, and said, "My love, no matter what happens, we will fight this together." That night, he poured oil on her forehead and prayed until his voice cracked. But even as they prayed, Monso was also awake in her own room, muttering incantations over the chalk-marked date. She believed the victory was already hers. Manuel returned from the church with a heavy heart but also a glimmer of hope. The pastor's words kept ringing in his head. As the due date approaches, the battle will grow fierce. Do not leave her alone. The doctor says nothing is wrong, he told her softly. But the pastor says we must be watchful. We can't afford to take chances. Serwaa nodded slowly. For the first time in weeks, she admitted her fears. Manuel, every time I close my eyes, I feel like someone is waiting to snatch my joy. Why does it feel like I am fighting against shadows? Tears rolled down her cheeks, and Manuel pulled her into his arms. That night, Manuel prayed over every corner of the room. He anointed Serwaa's forehead and placed the oil on her stomach. His voice was steady but firm. "Lord, you gave us this child after 15 years. No power will take it away." For the first time, she slept peacefully without hearing whispers or feeling the sudden cramps. Manuel stayed awake, watching her, guarding her as if his life depended on it. The next morning, Serwaa's due date was just one day away. The neighborhood buzzed with excitement, but inside their room, Manuel and Serwaa knew the real battle was about to begin. The day finally arrived. Serwaa woke up with sharp pains across her stomach, the moment she had prayed for and feared at the same time. Manuel rushed to her side, panic in his eyes but determination in his heart. He quickly called a taxi, and together they headed for the hospital. The air was thick, heavy, as though the entire world was holding its breath. At that same hour, Monso locked herself inside her room. She placed Serwaa's due date, written on a piece of paper. With a twisted smile, she whispered incantations, determined that Serwaa's baby would never see the light of day. To her, it was the perfect moment, the final strike, in the hospital. Serwaa's cries filled the ward. The doctors did everything medically possible, but something unusual was happening. The labor wasn't progressing. One of the nurses shook her head in confusion. "Medically, there's nothing wrong. But it's as if something is resisting this delivery." Manuel felt his chest tighten. He remembered the pastor's words. When the due date comes, the battle will grow fierce. He stepped out into the hallway, pulled out the small bottle of oil, and fell to his knees. Tears ran down his face as he prayed, "God, you gave us this child after 15 years. No enemy will take this gift away. Father, fight for us." He anointed the hospital walls, the doorway, declaring victory with every word. At that very moment, Monso's ritual began to backfire. The clay pot cracked loudly, sending a shock through her. She screamed in agony, clutching her chest as if invisible hands were pressing against her. Her voice broke as she shouted, "Leave me, I cannot fight anymore." Neighbors rushed to her room and found her rolling on the floor, confessing in torment, "I was the one. I fought Serwaa all these years." Back at the hospital, a loud cry suddenly pierced the air. The baby had been born, strong and healthy. She delivered a bouncing baby boy. Serwaa held the child to her chest, her tears mixing with joy. Manuel dropped to his knees, whispering, "Thank you, Lord." The doctor stood amazed, unable to explain how everything had turned around so quickly. By evening, the entire neighborhood buzzed with the news. Serwaa had delivered safely, and Mansour had exposed herself in shame. People who once mocked Serwaa now looked at her with awe. She finally carried her miracle in her arms, her shame erased forever. That night, as she rocked her baby to sleep, Serwaa whispered to Manuel, "I have learned my lesson. Not every smile means love. From today, I will guard my blessings with silence." Manuel nodded, his eyes fixed on their newborn. Sometimes, your greatest enemy is the one you call a friend. Protect your joy, because a careless word can hand your victory to the wrong hands. Please give this video a like, drop your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more interesting and powerful stories. See you in the next one.